Hey internet, and welcome back to the channel. So as I said the other day, we're going to be sorting the brakes out on the 600R today. I've got a couple of sets of brake pads in now, new .4 brake fluid, bought a couple of these, a couple of litres of this Cool off eBay actually. And it was a really good deal. I looked at a lot of the coolant for sale, and most of it was £8 or £9 for a litre. And you know, I know you get what you pay for generally, but this was 2 litres for less than £8. So I thought, well, it's worth a punt, isn't it? You know, because the chances are I'm going to end up having to flush this through again at some point after the dirty water that came out of it the other day. So yeah. We'll give it a go, see what it's like. Right, the big news is chatting. When I say chatting, I mean by email to Tom the other day, and the Z550 is almost ready to come back. So it should be back next week. He says he's got it working on the button now, so he's got a spark at the plugs when you use the start button. He's just tidying up some of the wiring where he's been. He's had to make some of the loom for the to get it to work. So as I said before, he believes the loom that was on the bike, the original one, was wrong, and the one that I got that was meant to be for the bike was wrong too, but it was less wrong, I think, than the one that was on the bike originally. If you remember, I don't know whether you will, it's quite a long time ago now, but when I started the 550, or when I bought it as a project, it didn't run. I mean, if you turned the ignition on, you got an ignition light on the dash, but nothing on the button. And you had to short out across the starter solenoid to get it to start. And it did. I mean, it ran really well, or certainly seemed to. But there was obviously something a lot more wrong with the wiring when I bought it than the guy let on about. But you know, it's you know, water under the bridge. I'm not bothered about that in the slightest. But it would have just been nice to know that before we you know, just assumed it was going to be okay. Anyway, so yeah. And another thing that dawned on me as well was on July the 4th. So it's the 1st of July now. On July the 4th, it will be a year since I started the Rideable Classics channel. And, you know, I started it with the Z550 as a project. So it's just it's just 5,000 or 5,500 subscribers within the year. I think that's fantastic. I really thank you all for, you know, sticking with me. And I know a lot of the time I change, and you know, 1 minute we're doing one bike and then we're swapping on to something else, so I know it can be a bit of a roller coaster. But anyway, so yeah, today I'm going to get the brakes done, and I'm going to try and do something with the reservoir, the expansion bottle. You know, I cleaned it up, I gave it a bit of soak in degreaser yesterday. And you know, it's obvious the bottle's damaged, there's no question about that. I mean, you can see here on the front, and this must be where, because that's where the front of the bike is, and these must be from the downpipe. So at some point it's either slipped back and melted on the downpipes, or, well, I don't know, it must have done, mustn't it? But you know, this, maybe the black, I'm not too sure where the black plastic bracket fits. It must be in the belly pan somewhere, and these are so rusted I'm gonna have to cut this off. So I can turn the nuts from the top, but you know, these don't even resemble nuts anymore, they're just big blobs of rust. So yeah, I'm gonna have to cut them off to get the thing off, and then we'll pressure test it and just see if it is leaking. Maybe it was just a loose hose, you know, maybe it was just the hose that's on there that was loose. I don't know, we'll see. But I've got to clear the decks a bit, ready for the Z550 coming back. So hopefully, Tom indicated that it should be either Wednesday Yeah, it won't be Monday. So it's either going to be Wednesday or Friday when it comes back. I thought he meant it was going to be back already, but he came back to me straight away going, look, I'm just too busy to get it done this week. And that's absolutely fine. No problem at all. Still don't know how much it's going to cost me, but you know, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So yeah, hopefully by next weekend it'll be back. So I need to get the garage a bit more organised. I have benefited from having the extra space in the garage, you know, with the 400 track bike going a few weeks ago, whenever it was, and the fact that the Z550 has been away for a few months, it's given me far more working room in the garage. You know, the Transalp is a big bike, it takes up a lot of room. The 350 is tucked up the corner there, and of course I've got the other 400 that didn't sell on eBay. That's up the other corner of the garage, so we're going to have to try and do something. The 600 I want to keep on the road for the time being. We will be moving back to... And there you go, that phone call. This is why I don't get a lot done on the bikes, or as much as I want to. I'm always on call with IT, and that was an IT call come in, so I'm going to have to go and have a look at that for an emergency for a client now. So yeah, alright, I'll come back to you shortly. Well, there you go, there's 2 hours of my Friday that I won't get back. IT support now done. Right, so yeah, where was I? Yeah, we're going to get the brakes done. I'm going to start that now. One last shout out at the moment to Jason at GPz600r TV. If you haven't already, check out his channel. There's some great videos on there. And you know, Jason, thanks for being a subscriber. And I know where to come when I need some more help with the or more help and advice with any of mine as well. So great, thanks for being here. Right, lovely. Let's crack on. Okay. So I have pressure tested. Oh look, it's still got a little bit of fluid in it. Water. I've pressure tested this with some water in it, so it would hopefully spurt out from wherever the crack was, and it would appear there isn't a leak. I mean, you can actually see the bottle expand with the compressed air. So I don't know, you know, maybe it's the seal in the cap. But you know what, thinking about it, well, I've already had a think about it, and I think what might have happened is that when it had been put on and it was being held on by a cable tie, and the cable tie was round the neck of here, going to a hole on the belly pan. I think maybe that cable tie was stopping the cap from closing all the way. Do you think? I mean, it's a thing, isn't it? But I can't find a leak in it. So where we are now, let's just move you around so you can have a look. Got the belly pan here. I haven't taken this off, and I'm not being lazy, but I'm thinking at least it affords it some protection. You know, as long as I move it right out of the way, as long as I can get it right up here, at least that's going to provide it some heat protection. I suppose ultimately I'm going to have to buy a new one at some stage, but you know, well, I'm just not prepared to pay £45 on one. And Jason from GPz600r, Jason from GPz600 TV has very kindly offered me one. Well, he's very kindly said he's got one, but he's in Germany, and apparently the postage from there is really bad at the moment. So I'm just going to use this one for the time being. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of cable ties through here round the bottle and secure it, you know, as far into the front as I can to keep it out of the way of the downpipes. You know what, it might be a bit of a bodge, but it'll have to do for the time being. Okay. So that's it for today. Bit cut short, unfortunately, because of my IT intervention earlier on today. I've run out of time now, otherwise I'm not going to get my video done. So I got the brake pads changed, cleaned up the calipers, cleaned up the slides and what have you. Got the brake fluid, all of it out. And I am having a bit of difficulty getting the brakes to bleed. I think there's a bit of air trapped in there, and it might be something to do with that bleed screw that's missing on the right hand front caliper. I know they can be fiddly sometimes. I've done lots of brake bleeding in my time. So what I've done is, rather than waste any more time and brake fluid on it, I've cable tied. I've got some good pressure in the brake lever itself, cable tied it back. I'll leave it overnight and then have another go tomorrow. I've got a couple of other little jobs I need to do. One of them is the throttle cables to take the slack out of the throttle of the twist grip. So I've got to get the tank off for that. Like I say, it's a relatively straightforward job, but I've just run out of time today. And that's about it. So the, you know, I don't know whether it's a fess up or not really, but the expansion bottle, as I say, pressure tested it, can't find a leak. Just can't get it to leak. I mean, I know it looks in a right old state, but I can't get it to leak. So the only thing I can think is, as I say, where that cable tie was, maybe that was just preventing the cap from being screwed on really tightly, and that's where it was weeping and then dripping out from underneath. I don't know, we'll just have to see. So the bottle's back in there now. I've secured it with a couple of great big cable ties. It's nice and neat. It's well out of the way of the exhausts. I've filled it up with some of my lovely coolant. I've only used one. Spin all the way around there. Spin all the way around indeed. So I've only used one of my 2 1 litre coolants. I'm sure it'll stand out like a sore thumb if we get a leak of that on the floor. 1 litre wasn't enough to fill it up. I'm not too sure what they take, but it wasn't much more water. I haven't put the right hand side panel on yet. You know, that finishing panel, where the one you remove when you want to get to the radiator cap, because I'll check the level again in the morning, or I'll check the level again when it's cold, and just make sure that that's, you know, there's enough water in there, and maybe top up if needed, and then put that cover back on. But yeah, I'm not too worried about that at the moment. So it's like I say, the exciting thing is Z550 back next week. Got to try and clear the decks ready for that coming back. That will take priority when it comes back as my long-term project. I'm really excited to get it running again. It'd be great. So I've got quite a bit of stuff to do on that. I painted the brake calipers some time ago, but the caliper paint that I bought, I mean, what on earth's that about? It wasn't brake fluid, or it wasn't able to withstand brake fluid. So brake fluid's gone on the calipers, and all the paint's built up. So it's all got to come off again. So I've got to paint the brake calipers. We'll fit the old exhaust for now, which was off a Zephyr 550, but we are going to be chopping that up, using the down pipes and the collector, and then having a silent. Well, I'll probably buy a silencer, but my friend's going to make or he's going to get a pipe bent and, you know, made for me and get it all welded up. So yes, they've got to do the exhaust, but that's not going to stop it getting running. I'm not sure yet if when it comes back the lights will be done. It was sort of left hanging with Tom, because Tom he has asked me if I want him to do that, but I said, well, you know, you let me know how much the bill's up to at the moment, I'll tell you if I want you to do any more work. But he hasn't worked the bill out yet, so that's still hanging. If it can come back next week and there's I've got to work the lights out, that's fine. I really don't mind doing that. It's just the engine and the charging that was concerning me, and that I wouldn't have been able to do. So yeah, looking forward to getting the Z550 back. I don't know if I remember telling you, but you know, after I painted it up lovely, there's a chip on it now. God only knows where that's come from, so I'm gonna have to get some touch-up paint and do that. But other than that, the GPz, I just need to find that bit of air that's in the system somewhere. Hopefully that'll be sorted tomorrow. Get the throttle cables done, and then that's about it really. You know, that can be run as it is for the time being, and we'll crack on with the Z550 next weekend. So let's hope, fingers crossed, it does come back this week, and I'll give you an update as soon as I've got it. So thanks very much for sticking with me. Don't forget, check out GPz600r TV. I'll put a link down here to it, and yeah, great. Stay with me. For all of those that lost faith and thought the Z550 will never come back, maybe it is going to. So you know, do tune in next time, and hopefully it'll be here. So great, thanks very much. I'll see you soon, internet. Bye.